Hello, I'm Sonny Burgess. I'm the director of the Clinical Performing Arts at Cook Children's. And that title, it kind of wears many names, but mainly I get to do music with our patients. And sometimes family, a sibling. We do different things for the departments and record, certain songs that they help to promote what they're doing with their department. So at Cook Children's. But that's basically what I've been doing for the last. Been on staff for 15 years, and but I volunteered for like 40. I've been since like the 1980s, going up and singing and doing music with the patients and their families. I was born and raised in Cleburne, Texas, south of Fort Worth, about 35 miles or so, and grew up in music. My dad really never played music, but he loved it. Loved mainly country music, but my aunt and uncles all sing and played music, and after church on Sunday, we'd all go to Grandma's and pick and sing, and it was just, I remember those days like they were yesterday, and sound like a song title, doesn't it? But anyway, I grew up playing sports, being in Texas, team sports, so I guess I've always had the relationship with the band, it's a team, and being in sports, so I've always said there's no I in band and there's no I in team, so I've used that throughout my life, and I think it's helped, and it basically led me where I am today, I think, and who I am today with getting the opportunity to be at Cook Children's, and it's just a dream come true to, get to do what I do with the, music every day of my life now with the patients. There's a huge difference in just being around music and liking music and it becoming a part of you. And actually, I was 6 years old. I knew when it became a part of me. We all do things and we don't do it. I never done it for an ego, but I remember that girl Karen in the second grade. I thought she's cute. My mom brings my guitar up there for a Halloween party. Of course, in the fall, second grade. And she actually, first time she looked at me, I'm singing a Johnny Cash song or something. But that was my first, I think, really, besides my family noticing, when I did it, when I sung around the home and Grandma's house or whatever. But that was the first time I noticed. And all my peers, my classmates all went, wow, that's neat. And so I thought, that's pretty cool, And so right then, I started performing. I even had a band in the second grade. We were called the Miniatures, but it was a blast. But that's when I knew that music was more to me than just liking it. It was a part of me. It became a part of me. And again, it wasn't an ego. It was just, it wasn't like, look at me. It never was that. It was just trying to, I guess, spread some cheer and make people smile and make people happy. That's just what it meant to me. I was drawn so much to music that I learned everything. I played by ear. Of course, on TV, they had hee-haw and different things. You'd watch the shows. I watched their hands. Watch my aunt and uncles. I had an uncle that played mandolin and guitars. A couple uncles played guitars, and my aunt could sing. But I learned to hear the harmony, all that, at 7, 8 years old, and I started singing too, and I would play. I would play the lead, and down the road you wonder where it's going to lead you, and it kind of led me. I got they called it a development deal in the 90s, 93, 94, with Sony, Columbia. I was with a management company that actually managed Tim McGraw, Joe Diffie. I was hanging around those guys, kind of watching what they do, and I was, I guess, learning to be an artist. And before that, all I wanted to do was play guitar. I'd played for, sidemen. I played guitar for Dave Brazell, and I'd done some stuff with him, and his management actually approached me and said, have you ever thought of being a star? Because he actually recorded one of my songs, and I'd sing 4 or 5 songs before he'd come out on stage. And I remember one night I got through, I sung these 3 or 4 songs, and I said, all right, now Dave Frizzell's coming out, and I made a big deal about him. You know, I said, man, he's just amazing and all this stuff. Well, after the show, he said, Sonny, man, that's so great that you bragged about me when I came out on stage, but don't do that. You know, you're an artist. You're a star. So act like it. Don't patronize me. Just introduce me. You're on my level. You need to act like you're on my level. And I was like, what? And so that was my first learning experience. I mean, he chewed on me. It was kind of chewing on me for about 5 or 10 minutes, but I would hang around Joe and Diffie. I hang around Joe a lot. We play golf, and what a singer. I mean, this guy, oh. And he would always tell me this kind of the same thing, man. Come on, man. You're Sonny Burgess. He'd say, you're Sonny Gall Darn Burgess. You know, come on, boy. Be that, you know, or something. But yeah, I got to do that. And then I guess the best thing, that didn't really pan out with the Sony Columbia, but I got on Charlie Pride's record label after that. Music City Records, just me and Charlie. And Charlie liked me on his label because I was a ball player. You know, I played baseball in college, a little double-A ball, and he told me that. He said, you know, you're a ball player. So we got that in common, and we sing. That's what I like. And so it really helped me. I was in Walmart and, you know, my CDs and stuff back there. And, you know, that was a big deal in Cleveland, my family, and everybody going, my aunt and uncle seeing my CD there on the counter in Walmart. I mean, I felt like I made it. I still couldn't pay the light bill, but I was in Walmart, you know. But anyway, you know, not only getting to play the star role and try and work on all that, but I met so many great people, and I met so many great songwriters. They teach you so many things and about life. I mean, some of the stuff they write, I mean, it's just unbelievable what they come out with, and collaborating with somebody like that. One guy, Kerry Kurt Phillips, I mean, this guy, he was kind of my mentor. I was sleeping at the publishing house in Nashville, and you know, and I think they knew I was, but nobody said anything about it because everybody'd leave and go home. I had the code, and they had writer rooms upstairs, and I'd sleep on the couch. I had a coffee pot with hot water. I had my oatmeal on. Anyway, so one night, it was like 12 at midnight, I got through writing, and the songwriter I was writing with left, and I heard somebody open the door and the code and come in, and it was Kerry Kurt. And he saw me. He said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm laying down. He goes, I'll be right back. And I guess he went to the restroom. He came back by and he said, get up. So from then on, I stayed at his house. And he had one of those his mailbox money had been good. He had one of those log cabins that he bought from Johnny Cash's family. And it was one from the Civil War, and he had remodeled it and stuff, but it was nice, and he worked hard himself to make it look that way. But I stayed with him from then on, but he would set me up with songwriters. I actually got to write with Dean Dillon one time, and you know, Dean wrote all those hits for George Strait, and he told me, he said, now listen, this guy, don't be like so-and-so that come in last week. You know, I set up writing. He said, when he gets quiet, you get quiet, you know, because I'm ADD. I was like, okay. And sure enough, man, we were writing this song, and Kerry Kurt had the title, and Dean got real quiet and was thinking, and man, the whole verse and chorus came out from this guy, and it was astonishing. I was like, he looked at me, and I was like, I don't know what to say about that. You know, I mean, I wasn't gonna, but you know, but you're right. You've got to kind of put something in so I came out with a few things, and he liked it. But you learn from getting to set with somebody like that, and just from what they've lived doing their trade. Some of them would come out with us on the road, you know, and spend some time, and that's always fun, you know, and of course I'd write songs with the band, you know, we'd do stuff sometimes, and it makes them feel good too to be a part of the production part and you know, creating, you know, something that we all feel, you know, proud of. Yeah, I wouldn't take for those days the road and songwriting. It all goes hand in hand. You know, it's the small part is the show, but all of it together makes life for me. It made me who I am. In the midst of all the traveling and playing music, I'd come home and I was always drawn to go do some things for the patients and stuff at Cook Children's, and this was in the 80s. Actually, I would sing with my guitar like once a month in the atrium, and the Dixie Chicks would come in, and it was before Natalie Maines was singing. It was not one of the sisters, but another girl, and she was real sweet. But Marty would play fiddle, one of the sisters, and she got to where, since I was playing solo, she'd play fiddle with me. So it was kind of some cool days of getting to do that. And we ran across each other later in our careers. And I believe that, that all led me to where I am today. And I met Rick Merrill, the CEO, in like 2006, 2007. I was at Cook volunteering, and we started visiting, and he said his passion for music, he loved to write songs and grew up like I did a lot. So we became friends, and we started writing songs when I was home. And so that connection, we wrote 3 years, quite a bit of songs. And he mentioned to me out of the blue one day, I've got this vision. I'd love to put a recording studio in our hospital at Cook. And so there you go. And he asked me about maybe helping with that. And I actually knew through all the years of some pretty cool players that might help with that. And so that's how kind of it all got started, thanks to his vision. And music, there you go again. I mean, somebody that loved music, and we connected with music. Music had such a powerful way of healing me through all the years. I'd be sick, I'd get my guitar out, I'd play. I still do that to this day. If I'm not feeling well, I'll do that. Well, one instance, this young man, he was 8 years old, he was fighting the CF, cystic fibrosis, and he'd go in and get tuned up. And I got to where I'd go see him, and he would just, the nurses would come in, he would just start doing this when I'd play any song. He liked a certain song that I had recorded called Smack Dab. I can remember that like it was yesterday. And he just would start doing that, and he hasn't been wanting to do anything, and they love him to move around, especially when they're getting that tune up and trying to get their lungs working right. But I knew then that was a huge example, not only for me, I saw it with someone else that were going through this really hard time, medically. I knew then that this is a huge purpose for me. And he got a lung transplant, and he's doing great. God, he's probably close to 40 years old now. Music has been the universal medicine. I've seen it work with these patients, and I've seen it with all ages. I would go to nursing homes and see these older people, they just thrive on it, and it would help them and make their day. And so with the kids now, even now at Cook Children's, doctors come in and say, hey, thank you all for doing music with this patient. They're taking less pain, medication. And many times that happens. And they go home. They get to go home sooner. And a lot of times the patients that we're working with music, it may be a distraction. We've had a cancer patient come down, families, diagnosed with leukemia, and come down to the studio and start playing the drums, and the patient smile, and the whole family, you can imagine the emotion. We have patients that otherwise would never get introduced to music, and these patients, some of them are writing these unbelievable songs, positive. You wouldn't know that life-threatening, that they have a terminal disease, but they're writing this stuff, and it's so positive. And so we capture that and we record it. And we've had a grandmother write a song about her grandson, and and put music. She'd write words more like a hymn in church and put music to it. Like the chaplain came and told us this grandmother wrote this poem, and we put music to it, and she sings it, and she goes, "I can sing it, yes," and actually play it for her grandson, her family. I think we all forget what music has done for all of our lives, and what it does. Healing, distraction. I know sometimes we forget. We're driving down the road, listening to the radio, and you look up, you're there. Well, it's probably because you've been listening to the radio and paying attention to great music, And so I think a lot of people, they just do not realize the power of music. And all this, Rick Merrill and I we became friends because of music. I mean, he is. You never know when you meet somebody. They say, "I write songs." You always follow up because you never know. That's the connection, right? And I had no agenda. I had no idea that we were going to end up where we are today with this recording studio and broadcast studio in the Child Life Zone at Cook Children's. Had no idea. That wasn't the plan. And for it to happen now, full circle, to come back to all those years of knowing that, yeah, this will work. I've seen what it does to these patients already and all over the country. And now to get to do it here in Fort Worth, Texas, wow. And it's spread now thanks to, these recording studios. They're maybe not as astounding as ours, because, Rick, we did this and right, thanks to Garth Brooks and Troy Aikman. One of my favorite songs that Rick and I wrote together was, it's strong. It's Joanne Sanders, one of our nurses, and she told this story about these families, these patients are holding on. They're terminal, and they're just holding on for their family, for their parents. And she says finally they take the parents outside the room and say, "You're just going to have to tell your child it's okay. Tell them it's okay." And there's your title. So, they'd go back in and tell their child that it's okay. So we're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. And the child would, pass inevitably in probably 5 minutes. And so Rick and I we wrote that. It's okay. And he said, we got to watch this. This can be, pretty hard, but we wrote it in a positive way, where the boy passes and he's getting to do everything he wanted to do, and he's singing it, telling it to his family, and the girl is doing the perfect pirouette, and the boy never strikes out, and hits home runs. So it turns out that they're okay. We recorded that we actually wrote that song before we finished the studio and everything, so we recorded it in Nashville. Good friend of ours, Jeff Teague, who had actually ran Word record label for a while, good friend, had helped us, and we had Rebecca Lynn Howard, who, big major artist, sung the girl part. I sung the guy part. That's the only thing. It's, not up to par, but we wrote some songs that we've recorded, put on. They've been on radio, and he's always got some great titles. He had one called All About the Ride. It can be rodeo. We had Tuff Hedeman on the front of the cover of the CD, and it was the title of the CD. And of course, All About the Ride, same thing with life, right? He's just really a talent, to be the CEO and president of our Cook Children's, medical center, and all the vision that he has for the hospital and our patients. To be able to sit down with some hillbilly like myself and write a song is pretty amazing. Thanks to Rick's vision, that the recording studio, we've actually had a band in there. With a patient singing, and of course with the thanks to Raymond Turner, our engineer, producer. He's amazing. He's an angel. So happy we have him. We can build those tracks and everything for these patients. And then we've actually had a patient in the vocal booth singing, a cancer patient, and a cancer patient at the soundboard. But they can come down there and they can just meet in a wonderful music environment and actually became friends and talk about each other, you know, the strife that they're going through with their disease, you know. And we do ukulele workshops. We actually, in the broadcast studio, me and one of the music therapists, Katie Borland, I call her Cinderella. She's amazing. She can do the Mary Poppins Sound of Music, and then she can do these other recordings and vocals. It's amazing. Boy, we have this thing called impromptunes that we have patients text in or call in, or we have a studio audience of patients, and they give us words, like 5 words, 6, whatever, and we'll write a song, create a song on the spot for that with those words. And the kids get to be a part of it, you know, the families and patients. And why of having all these options for our patients and their families is some of them are introduced to the music the first time. And they realize, wait a minute, this isn't so hard. I would like to do that, you know. And so we put a ukulele in their hand, a keyboard in their hand. They start creating their own music, or maybe it is just a distraction. Maybe it's just something while they're in their room in isolation, they have something to help them with the time they're having to deal with what they're having to deal with. It's probably, and it's, again, these families, they love to talk to you about what's going on, but sometimes the music helps that. And not only the music, they learn a certain instrument or learn how to write or a distraction, but you can see the confidence in the child and just on how they communicate. I mean, they come out of their shell more. I mean, it helps them. The parents even have said, they say, man, our child is just really more open and discussing things that we didn't discuss before because of the music. And a lot of times, the patients, they're having a hard time with the diagnosis, and because we're doing music, they'll open up more than they do with their therapist or something, you know, with their doctor, their nurse. I mean, we're getting feedback from that. And, you know, just the introduction, you know, the patients that come into our hospital, and we try to make it warm and inviting, obviously, but when they come in there and then they're introduced to the music, to what we can do with music, especially our music therapists. I do not want to ever leave them out. They're amazing what they do. But we can also give them an instrument to play and perform. Otherwise, they would have never got that opportunity. You know, I mean, and they tell us that, oh, I've never got to play a ukulele or a guitar or a piano or keyboard. So we, you know, present that to them. And a lot of them, you can tell they have the gift. They want to enhance and just grow into music. And it does. It helps them with what they're going through. Music has shaped me and who I am today. I mean, I go back to where I don't know who I'd be without it. I mean, it has led me down a road with great memories. It's made me a positive person. I mean, it's made me, I don't look at any negative. It's just, it's all good. It's all positive. And thanks to that, I'm doing what I'm really, really supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be at Cook Children's and doing this music. And it's, and to get to spread that kind of love to somebody that may not have ever had the opportunity to have that. It's just, I mean, it's just, I don't know, words I can't explain, and I'm just so happy to get to do it. So I guess what really I hope for our world, for just all of us in general, I really hope that everyone can, in some form or fashion, just let the music take over. Let the music be a part of you. We all need it in our lives, especially today in this world. So I hope everyone out there will just try to find their voice in music and use it for others and themselves. Here we go. He's rigging in his pickup truck, hard way to earn a buck, heading off to the rodeo, Chris Ledoux on the radio, broken bones and all his pain. Some say he's a little insane, behind the chute with his rods and rope, nods his head, it's time to rock and roll. It doesn't matter what the price, he'll drive all through the night, paid his dues, still got his pride, win or lose, it's all about the ride. He's thrown off, but he gets back up. Some say he's down on his luck, doesn't know the word defeat, always lands on his feet. He knows every 8-second ride, gonna ride right past his prime. Through twists and turns he's found his life, all he wants is one more ride. It doesn't matter what the price, he'll drive all through the night, paid his dues, still got his pride, win or lose, it's all about the ride. Win or lose, it's all about the ride.